Um, Today I'm gonna do, technically I guess, page 2, but it's gonna be all the even numbered pages. When I make a mini album, and you've seen this on a lot of my mini albums, I'm going to make the front pages are essentially the odd numbered pages. You know, elaborate, like this one I just made. Well, it wasn't too elaborate, but where there's moving parts and all these things. However, the even numbered pages, I pretty much keep to simple pocket pages. So I'm just going to show you how to do it in case you don't know how to do it. And I'm going to show you a double pocket. So basically, we have our, and don't pay attention to these numbers that are written in pen yet. That's important later. To make this double pocket, I cut out 2 pieces of cardstock, one at 5.5 by 8, and the other at 3 by 8. So, and it's 8 inches tall, so that kind of, you can see here, it kind of makes 3 pretty close to even sections for your pockets. Then I cut a decorative edge, or punched a decorative edge on the 2 pocket pieces, and I used this, it's called something like Arch Lattice, maybe. It's a Martha Stewart border punch. I like this because it's decorative, but it's a pretty small pattern. It's not a really deep punch. So I did that, and to know how big we need our decorative papers, you have to do your decorative edge first, okay? Because depending on how deep the punch you use or how deep the edge goes, you will need to adjust the height of your decorative paper accordingly. There are certain punches like this one that I used on the last one. Let me just show that. Where I, since it doesn't punch holes out, I used that same punch on the decorative paper and on the cardstock. So there's some that you can do that way. You can also die cut some edges on my, let me get out these, if the width of the album is 6 inches or less, I like to use these. These are little dies that do this little bracketed edge. And again, that is something that I would cut that die on the cardstock for the pocket, and then I would also cut it on the paper itself. Now, the punches make it a little easier because I punch the cardstock and then I just cut the paper square, ink it up, slap it on. It's fast. I like to also do these simple pocket pages on every other page because it helps me feel like I'm moving along a little quicker on my mini albums. If you try to engineer and create each page, it can really start to feel like the album's taking forever to create. And this, I don't know, it just makes you feel like you're moving along a little faster, which it just helps you, you know, in your head. To feel more, I don't know, productive. So I got these cut out, and now the next step is to figure out the size of decorative paper I need to cut out. And that's what these pen marks are, if you can see those. They're all gonna be 7 7/8 inch wide because I'm doing the really slim 1/16 border. These 2 pieces, however, I don't really need to be very precise because I just want it to go below this edge of the decorative paper. So when I take my ruler and hold it up here, I just decided to go 3.5, which is like right here, just to make sure it goes below, enough below this edge that you're not gonna see where the decorative paper ends. Same thing here, 3 inches will be enough to get the decorative paper behind here. Now I could just take this whole thing out and cover that whole pocket with decorative paper and then slap this pocket on top, but that wastes paper. So this way you waste as little paper as possible. Now on this bottom one, I do need to cut very precisely, and so when I measured the distance between the bottom of the punch edge to the bottom of the pocket, it was 2 9/16. So I need to take 1/8 of an inch off that, and I'm left with 2 7/16. Okay? So this bottom one is the one that has to be precise. Yours will be different depending on what kind of punch you do or what kind of edge you do. Okay? So, moving along, I did already cut out my 3 pieces. And I like to do this before I start gluing and just lay them out as it's gonna look, to kind of give me a preview. And I think that looks pretty nice. Busy, a little busy. But I did, you know, follow sort of the thing I talked about in the first video. These are just the next 2 papers in the pad. Now you could cut all of these out from one 12x12 sheet because it's not that much paper, but I just wanted to mix it up a little because I didn't want it to be all the same. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna glue that down, and I'll just go ahead and get started right now. You know, you're gonna have to do this layer by layer starting with the bottom, so we'll just take these off. This is the first thing that I need to glue down. And I'm inking all of my edges in this. I think I said earlier I was gonna do it in Vintage Photo, just for, you know, clarity's sake for everyone out there watching. I'm using walnut stain instead. I just found that I wanted it a little darker. So this is inked, and then I'm just gonna use my ATG. You know, wet glue is cheaper, and it gives you that little wiggle time when you put it down. But I gotta say, the ATG is just easier. Okay. So there's that. The next thing I want to do now in my thing is this pocket right here. So I didn't do the tabbed pockets like I've shown before, because again, I want these to lay pretty flat. So you can also add 1 inch to the width and 1/2 inch to the depth and get the tabbed pockets that sit up a little bit, and you can slide, you know, your photo mats will be able to take the entire width of the pocket. The way we're doing it right now, when we glue this here, once I glue this down, the photo mat will go over about to there, and that's it. So I technically lose this much. It's but somewhere between 1/4 and 1/2 inch of width on the pocket. I don't mind that in this case. So on this one, I'm just going to really thin line of wet glue. It does not, this art glitter glue, it does not take much. It's one of the reasons that wet glue ends up being cheaper, because it goes far. So we're just going to stick this down, and I'm gonna make sure it's perfectly lined up, and then push. Really get the stick going. Okay, and then I'm just gonna keep going. It's pretty easy, and again, you know, you saw that last video, how long it was, plus I edited out a lot of my construction, and the only thing that I did ahead of time on this one was cutting and inking the edges. You know, I didn't spend very long on this page. So that, you know, it's a feeling of accomplishment that makes you feel a little better when you can finish this page so fast. And then, you know, you're feeling really good going into your next, you know, more intense page. Okay. Good deal. And then finally the last piece. and then we'll be done. See, this is why I like doing the every other page as a pocket. Especially when I'm doing an album where I'm just kind of making up the pages as I go, and just kind of designing them myself, or scattered between different ideas that I've found. Because it gives my mind a break, right? I can just kind of do this on autopilot. Once you've done a few of these, they're so easy. And not be stressed about, okay, what am I gonna do now? I don't wanna repeat a design. So it's just an easy way to keep yourself moving. So there's that. I am now going to use all the leftovers from my first page to make some photo mats to go in these two pockets. So I'm gonna use, I don't know, I wanna make at least 2 things for each pocket. I'll do 2 larger ones in this large pocket, and then 2 smaller ones in this small pocket, and then we're done. It's a really simple page. I hope you enjoy it. I'll be back real quick after I've made some photo mats and to finish up. Okay, and I'm back with the finished page. All I did was put 2 photo mats into each pocket. This bottom one is a 3x4 and a 4x4, and I'm double-siding these because I have plenty of paper. This paper pad, again, it's 48 sheets, and I'm making an 8x8 album, so it's going to be plenty of things. This was a cut apart, and I thought it was 4x6, and it turns out it's like slightly longer than 6 and slightly narrower than 4, so I had to cut a little off each side, and this is not quite, you know, wide enough, but whatever. I think it's a cool, you know, journaling card. So that's it. Yeah, so again, these are my even numbered pages, so the rest of my tutorials will basically be just for the backs, or for the fronts of our pages. I'm not going to do any more about pockets because, you know, it's pretty easy, and every other page then is going to be like this. So I hope you are following along well, and I hope you're having some good crafting time making these mini albums. I will hopefully have up my page 3 tutorial very soon, in a couple of days. So I will see you then, and have a great one. Bye.